பாருங்க. YouTube. No, now I'm going to introduce this person. I'm the moderator actually. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very happy to welcome all of you to this International Web Conference 2020, titled Industry 4.0 Scenario, Redefining Language and Literary Studies. Day one, we are in the afternoon session. This session is going to be addressed by Reverend Dr. Andriano Chalve. And he is going to talk to us on the topic cultural imagination. First, let me say a few words about Dr. Andriano Chalve. Dr. Andriano Chalve was born in Lubwe, Samfia district, Zambia. He is married to Harriet, and they have 3 grown-up children studying, working, and living in South Africa. Dr. Chalve has dedicated his professional life to serving in cross-cultural settings as a lecturer, pastor, counselor, and mentor. Andriano graduated and later served as a lecturer in architecture technology at the Copperbelt University in Zambia. He also attended college in Miyazaki, Japan, and studied architecture and construction management there. After his master's and doctoral studies in philosophy, he served as a tutor of Greenwich School of Theology in the United Kingdom and Northwest University in South Africa. Apart from his role as an assistant general superintendent in the Pentecostal Assemblies of God in Zambia, Dr. Andriano Chalve has been serving as a vice chancellor for 10 years at the Trans-African Christian University until 2017, when he assumed his pastoral duties, but still teaches African and global studies and New Testament Greek at the same university. We are indeed very happy to welcome you, Dr. Andriano Chalve, to address the gathering today. We are very happy that you have accepted our invitation and you are part of this great venture. My dear friends, and he is going to talk to us on the topic of cultural imagination. Well, this cultural imagination is a theory derived from different concepts in Latin America, Latina and Hispanic cultural studies. Cultural imagination, the 2 terms, we understand both the terms and put them together, we understand the core of the talk today. By culture, we mean the way we live. And imagination is what goes on in the mind of a person about something that he has got on the mind. Even the person does not have a direct link, direct touch with that reality, we can make certain imaginations in our mind. In fact, an imagined community, it can be, put this way. It is imagined because most of the members of the set community will never meet or hear from other members of this community, which is the original community. This is in relation to the migration of people from one place to another. Now, in the context of South America or Latin American countries, It is a movement from one continent to another continent where people have not known exactly what is the culture on the other side, from the mainland. So these people, those who are living in this new land, they have an imagination. It is called an imagined community because socially constructed through narratives, myths of origin, symbols, rituals, and collective memory, imagined by people who see themselves as part of that group. It is also this sense of identity and how culture reinforces it, contributes to the imagery. Now, the loss of sense of belonging, the cultural imaginary is one that helps define identity and meaning in a setting of neither belonging here or there. Cultural imaginaries are socially constructed to fit the needs of a particular group. Food, music, and dance are social constructions built to define what it meant to be a part of a selective group. These constructions and their imaginaries help form the sense of belonging and meaning to a community. Well, especially coming from the background of an African country, this concept of cultural imagination is a living reality for the people. So we are indeed very happy that we are going to listen to someone who has been experiencing this day in and day out. Thank you, Dr. Andriano Chalve, for accepting to be with us this afternoon. We are eagerly waiting for a feast from you. Welcome. Now I hand it over to you. Welcome, Dr. Reverend Dr. Andriano Chalve. Dr. Andriano Chalve. Dr. Andriano Chalve, is he? Dr. Andriano Chalve.
Father, he is in.
Doctor, I'm audible.
He's in the video, but his audio is not connecting.
Kindly unmute your audio.
Audio.
Doctor, am I audible to you? This is Dharmadevi from Sacred Heart College. Dr. Andrian Sholve, am I audible to you? We didn't hear your voice.
Father, நீங்க பேசுங்க Father. அவர்கிட்ட பேசுங்க.
Hello, Dr. Andriano Chalve. Doctor, do you hear me? Hello, Doctor. Dr. Andriano, Dr. Andriano. Dr. Andriano, do you hear? Keep trying. For those of you who have joined late, this session is being addressed by Reverend Dr. Andriano Chalve. He is from South Africa, currently living in South Africa. He has been the Vice Chancellor at the Trans-African Christian University until 2017, when he had to assume the responsibilities. We are having a little difficulty in connecting to him. He's going to talk to us on the cultural imagination. It's a very current topic. It is related to the migration of people, especially after migration from one place to another. After few generations, people do not know what is the culture of the people from where these people have migrated. So they create certain imaginations in their mind, and they create certain rituals, certain narratives, what we call myths of origin, symbols, rituals, and collective memory. And this imagination is very important because it gives the identity to the people living in this new land. So, in fact, their food, their music, their dance are all social constructions built to define what it means to be a part of a selective group. Well, this is the crux of the topic that we are going to see. It is, in a way, it is a distant relative of diasporic literature, but this is something, a perspective, what's happening in the mind of these migrants and the imagination that actually that takes place, and how they form a community around certain beliefs, certain myths. It is very, very current, especially in Latin America, where people have migrated from Europe. So this afternoon talk is on this cultural imagination. Till he joins us, let me just remind you, my dear participants, about the feedback form that will be sent to you after 4 o'clock. Please do not go on asking again and again, either on Telegram or other platforms, please. It will be sent to you after 4 o'clock. It will be available on Zoom. It will be available on YouTube link and also the Telegram group. It will be available. You can fill up and send. And also the rooms have been already allotted. We have got 6 parallel sessions going to take place for paper presentation today. And the rooms have been already allotted to the paper presenters. So if any of your names are missing, do not worry, we are working at it, because people have been sending the papers even in the morning, or right through the night. People have been sending 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Even after that also people have been sending. We have been very accommodative. Okay, there are more than 200 and odd papers, 240 papers. So we are trying to accommodate as many as possible to give you that exposure. Please bear with us. Okay, so the team is working very hard at it. Please bear with us. Please bear with us.
Hello? Hello, the technical team. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Hello, technical team. Is it audible?
Sir, it is audible to me, sir. Sir, it is audible to me. Sir,
Yes,
it is
Father.
audible to me.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he
Thank you.
doesn't
Thank
know.
you. No. Just now I spoke with Professor Dr. Adrian Chalve, and he has rejoined now. He has rejoined. Welcome,
has
Professor
rejoined.
Adrian Chalve. Can you hear us now? Professor Chalve? Professor Chalve, can you hear us? Please unmute your mic. We can see you, Professor Chalve, but we cannot hear you. Dr. Chalve?
Dr. Chalve, yeah, we can see you. See if you can
Yeah.
unmute your mic.
Can you see us, Chalve? Through WhatsApp call, he was audible, very much audible. Just now I spoke with him through WhatsApp call, but I don't know what kind of difficulty he faces through the Zoom link.
Just below the screen, you have the unmute button. Could you unmute that, please?
எப்படி?
Dr. Dr. Adrian Shalve.
Father, I am just calling him again in WhatsApp. I'll ask him to join him through WhatsApp audio.
Audio, yes.
Yeah, just 1 second, Father. I'll come online again.
Yeah.
Participants, please excuse me. அப்படிலாம் இல்லைம்மா. அவங்க ஏன் மியூட் பண்ற?
Yeah. Dr. Adrian Shalve. Dr. Adrian Shalve, do you hear? Reverend, do you hear? Reverend, do you hear us?
Hello?
He's calling.
Yeah.
So one mistake will be this one further, or he has muted the media further. In mobile, if he has muted the media, it can show.
Dr. Adrian Chawla, in the one of the options, you should you choose call via device audio. You should choose the option join audio. In that, you will have the option call via device audio. Please look at the bottom of your screen. On your left,
Screenல
you will
இருக்கிறாரு.
have join audio. If you click that, you will have call via device audio.
இப்ப பேசுங்க உங்களுக்கு அவங்களுக்கு
Hello.
Sir, kindly unmute.
Father, kindly unmute. I'm sending you the option. It will ask you. Please check. Click the option unmute. Dr. Andrian Chalve.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Please
Thank you
talk
so
now.
much. You are able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, please talk.
Father.
Yes, sir. Dr. Andriano Salve, please go on. I have already introduced you and the topic. Now you can begin your session, please.
Yes.
Please, could you come closer to the mic, sir? Again, you unmuted yourself. Sorry, you have muted yourself. Please unmute. Please unmute yourself.
Dr. Andrian Chalve, you will be getting a message to unmute. I am sending. Please kindly check that. Kindly click that. Yeah. Please.
Kindly unmute yourself.
Still you are in mute only, Doctor.
Kindly mute. Kindly unmute. Yes, please speak.
Yeah, yes. Yes, doctor, you are right. Please kindly.
Please speak now. Doctor, you can speak now.
It's okay, doctor. You can start speaking.
I can go now, right?
Please speak. Yes, we are able to hear you. Please speak, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me start with a short definition of cultural imaginaries. Cultural imaginaries are socially constructed to fit the needs of a particular group, for example, as seen in food, music, and dance. Are social constructions and are built to define what is meant to be part of the group. So the social constructions are what people consider the identity in a particular group. I did a research at one time on our country, Zambia, and also talked about some of the similarities that we share as African people. I noticed that the Western missionaries were not considering the cultural imaginaries of people as a way of motivating themselves to bring people to a place where they would take the gospel, as it were, in their context of life. But it was the Christian message was more like forced on the people. The culture of the people was not so much considered. I noticed that according to Professor John Mbiti, John Mbiti suggests a circle. He suggests a circle where, can you imagine we have a circle, and instead of having, say, 12 numbers from 1 o'clock to 12 o'clock and so on, but this clock suggested by Professor John Mbiti, who is now late, suggests for some African countries not a 12-point kind of culture cycle, but reduced to 7. So my interpretation is that he suggests, John Mbiti suggests that we bring it to 7, not 12. So the first point in the cycle, which is number 1, there's a time to be mothered. Number 2, almost like a 2 o'clock, a time to mature. Number 3, a time to be married. In African communities, to be married is a very important point in one's life. Number 4, a time to be one who maintains the culture or the cycle of life as an elderly person. Number 5, a time to be mortified, a time to die, and all the rituals that come with it. Number 6, a time to be mentioned, to be remembered. In Africa, to be remembered is very, very important. This is why we were encouraged by our forefathers to have as many children as possible, because to be remembered by your offspring is very, very important. Number 6, number 7, a time to be a mediator. When somebody is passed on and they are now in the stage, they pass the stage of the living dead, and after that they graduate to become the ancestors. So in our context of Africa, these are very important cultural imaginaries. Let me just explain a little bit, because this is what I consider a very important point of my presentation this morning. Here it's morning time. The first stage is the time of birth. The time of birth is when the naming of the child is done, and the entry into the tribe happens before birth. Actually, even when a mother is expecting a child, the child can even be named before the child is even born. The child can even be given in marriage before it's even born. So that's the first stage of many tribes on African soil. The second stage, like the 2 o'clock of African time, is puberty and initiation. During this stage, there is circumcision. Circumcisions take place. This is the time when manners and cultural matters are taught to young people who are now taken to a place where they are circumcised. Number 3, which is really like the 3 o'clock, out of the 7 minutes of this African watch, the third stage is marriage and procreation. This is the climax of one's life in our societies. And the rituals can be very elaborate. Choosing a partner is mostly done by the family, although of course these days we see people choosing their own partners and then coming to declare them to their parents. Polygamy is also permitted in some societies where there are no children coming. Number 4 on our time chart, on the African time, number 4, old age. Old people are wisdom carriers. They are the libraries of society. They keep the customs, practices, beliefs, and the secrets of the tribe. Elderly people are deeply respected because they link the now to the old. John Mbiti suggests the 2 words that are taken from Swahili language. He suggests that the word now is in Swahili, sasa. The word old in Swahili is zamani. So what we are trying to say is that the old people are very important because they link the now to the past. Words spoken by old people are very, very important because these are the people that link the now to the old and the ancestors of old. Number 5, death and funerals. In death, the tribe members regroup. In most African societies, death is just a transition where people go to another village above the class. There is a regrouping that to be taking place. If Anglican people who are not Christians, there's no concept of heaven or earth or hell. And also in Africa, when someone dies, when a wife or the husband dies, there is a tradition of bringing this surviving partner a new wife or a new husband. In Africa, that's very, very important. The number 6 stage, after 6, then we go to 7, and the last one on the scale. Number 6, living dead. In Africa, when you die, you are not dead per se. You only die when all the people who knew you have died. For example, if someone dies leaving 3 children who know them as parents, when the parents die, and those children die, then that person or the mother of those 3 children has also died. Those who have many children, like children, die now, you will not have died until all the 11 children or 12 children die. That's when you have died. So it follows that the more children you have, the longer you stay in the memories of your surviving children and the other people. So you are going to live on until all the people who knew you die. You can understand why in Africa we have so many children. Many people go for 10, 8, like that. It is a way of wanting to live longer. It is a way of achieving personal immortality. Because those who have little children only live less number of years. As far as they are 3 children or 2 children or 1 can live on. So you can actually say that in Africa, somebody can live for, after they have passed on, they can live for 100 years. They can live for 50 years, 75 years, and so on, depending on the number of children that you have left. The last stage, number 7. This is the stage we call the world of spirits. These spirits now, the belief is that they are not, they cannot be named, they cannot be named now. The people that knew them have died. So they are now faceless spirits, as it were. No one can remember them. So they now come into the category or into the bracket of spirits whose role now is to be mediators between God and the people they have left behind. This is a very, very interesting concept. This is why when the missionaries from Europe came to Africa, they brought some big questions to people, because people were thinking, we should not worship, we should not go to the cemetery and acknowledge our ancestors. What kind of missionaries are these? So it became a very big problem. because missionaries did not take time to understand the belief system, the cultural imagination. So it brought a lot of difficulty. And this is why many people of early Christianity in Africa, they were abandoning the Christian churches to start forming their own African independent churches. The African independent churches were inspired, they were encouraged, motivated by the lack of the missionary of the West, or from the West, failing to contextualize, or shall we say, failing to understand the belief system of the people and tell the people, this is not right, reject, this is right, accept it. So the missionaries needed to categorize the customs or beliefs as to which ones are okay and which ones are not. Other than just taking an wholesale approach and say, all customs of Africa, we don't want them in our churches. In some cases, missionaries were even making compounds where their priests were staying. They used to call them missionary compounds. When you allow yourself to be baptized by the missionaries, and they allow you to stay, they never allowed you to play drums, to even bring in some African customs in their compounds. They never allowed that. And this is what caused many Africans to feel culturally deprived, abandon those churches, and they went to make their own churches. We do have a lot of examples, even in Zambia, in South Africa, in Botswana, and all the places in the region here, actually. We have seen, I have had the privilege to see this when I was visiting to do my research. I was very amazed. We have so many churches in Africa that say they are Christian churches, but they are really broken off from Christianity by they have just taken on a lot of African traditional customs. So in Africa, everyone is a member of the tribe. And you can deregister, you cannot even resign. You cannot, because I've become a Christian or because my wife is from that particular tribe, so I'm also resigning from here to join the other side. No, we never do that. You are a member of your particular tribe for as long as you are alive. And because Africans believe, traditional Africa believes that the ancestors, our old ancestors, are the ones that are mediating for us, not as the Bible teaches. This is why they are saying conversion to Christ is not necessary, because we do have ancestors that come to represent us. These are some of the things that the missionaries of the West need to understand, and that they understand the belief systems and tell the people, look, you are Christians, right? Now you are not going to be praying to your ancestors, but through Jesus Christ, like that. So that needed to be communicated. But because these things were not properly communicated, it has created a situation where it is now a free for all, you can go wherever you want. And especially after African countries started to get independence. You know, the first country to be independent in Africa was Ghana. Ghana gives us a very good example of what can happen to a society which is not guided properly. When Ghana became independent in 1957, the people of Ghana really wanted to find a way of expressing themselves culturally, socially, and even economically. And because there was no guidance, as it were, the cultural revival that took place in Ghana went far overboard, to the point that even the cults emerged and they started to call themselves Christian. is the problem that you also find in Congo, in Cote d'Ivoire. The coming of independence to African countries has just created other new problems of wanting self-expression, the desire for self-expression. And the desire for self-expression is fine, but it has to be guided properly. I can quickly give you the 7 similarities among African people. This is just to show that a cultural imagination is very deep-rooted, because culture, as it were, is not just what people do. Culture is not necessarily what just people do. It's not about dances. It's not just about the food that people eat. It's not just about the clothes people put on. Culture is what people think they are. What people think they are is very, very crucial. It is no wonder we have so many fights in this world. This world has seen a lot of fights because of what people view themselves to be. When people feel that they are not being defined correctly, when people feel that they are being misunderstood, when people think that what they consider themselves to be is being disregarded, they will react. Because the culture, as it were, is not just what people do, it is what they believe themselves to be. Let's look at the 7 similarities amongst African people. First, is only Africans have an emphasis on community, family, tribe, or clan. It's very, very crucial. The common participation in life, a common history, and a common destiny are very, very important to the people of Africa. John Mbiti brings a very important statement, which you can find across Africa, from Cape Town to Cairo, or Durban to Casablanca. You find it. It says, I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. That is what Africa really takes to be important to them. A very, very important idea. Secondly, the relationship between the living and the dead relatives is also very, very important. And according to the African way of life, a way has to be found of bringing the people that have died to inform or to inspire in some way the lives of the living. So the people that have died and the people that are living have to live in unison. There are certain traditions or customs that are practiced to rehearse their presence, those that have died. Number 3, another similarity between African people is that the viewpoint taken towards the spirit world and the relationship between the spirit world and the physical world. The sense of the physical world and the spirit world is in traditional Africa. For example, here in Zambia, there is a small insect. When you see that insect crossing the road, you are better off going back, because it is believed that insect is a bad omen. Because wherever you are going, you may find a very big calamity may have taken place. Number 4, similarity number 4 amongst African people. Africans tend to place a higher priority on people and human relationships than material things or technology. This is why, when I was teaching at the university, at the Copperbelt University some time ago, I used to observe that some students would create a very big riot when the meals they are serving them in the cafeteria are not having soup, just over soup. Our students would go on the road, start stopping cars, in some cases even beat people around. All just because there was no soup in the cafeteria when they were giving the meals. I say this to show you that in Africa, we consider people to be very important, other than things like technology, material things, and so on. Number 5, the history of colonial rule. The history of colonial rule and the later experience of independence. This was led by Ghana, as I indicated earlier. Now Africans want to express themselves religiously and culturally. Religiously and culturally. There's now the desire to express ourselves in a more indigenous or authentic way in our societies. Number 6, another similarity, number 6, the holistic view of life. All parts of life fit together to form a beautiful picture called life. Church, work, home, all combined. Everything is just together. I can understand why in our societies you go to pay for electricity bills at the company at this service company where they are collecting money for the bills that we are consuming at our homes. It is very common to see people on the queue who are actually relatives to the guys that are serving there on the counters. One time I experienced that and I was very surprised. A group of people were just telling me, oh, sir, please just go ahead of us. We are 4 of us, just go past us. I said, but what are you doing here? So now I've come to see someone. Which someone is that? Those guys came to see someone who is a friend or relative to them. That was surprising. Visiting someone at the place of work. You wonder where this kind of thinking comes from. I think this kind of thinking is coming from this idea that life is a whole, it's a big picture altogether. For us in Africa, it's difficult to separate. This time it is time of work. This time I'm supposed to be at home. It's very difficult. We have to teach people a lot, especially in the parishes where we are teaching or ministering. Number 7, the last emphasis, the last idea now, the last similarity amongst African people. Number 7, emphasis on the events of life. Emphasis on the events of life. More than an emphasis on schedules and time as found in Europe and North America, where mathematical time is significant. This is written down by Wilbur O'Donovan. Wilbur O'Donovan worked in West Africa and East Africa for a long time. I like his viewpoint because he is not coming from my culture. He's European. These 7 things he points out about African people. And number 7, he says, in Africa, you see an emphasis on events, emphasis on events of time, not mathematical time. This one is very, very interesting indeed. One of the challenges that I have faced always is to encourage people to come to church on time. Very interesting. They will tell you, Reverend, we are late because I'm late because I had a visit at home. The other one will tell you, I am late because I was doing my laundry. That's why I'm late. It just goes on to show that for us on this continent, time is not mathematical. It's not this Western way of reckoning time. For us, time is reckoned by events. It's event time, not necessarily mathematical time. Permit me to make these ideas as well. When the missionaries came, when Western missionaries came to Africa, they found that in Africa, time was going on a cycle from the time of birth, to the time somebody is now considered a spirit, so to speak, in the world of spirit, category number 7, which I pointed out. That cycle of life, when it finishes at number 7, and again it starts. So it is actually a chain of cycles going forward like that. That is how Africa looks at time. Generally speaking, for us, time is going forward, yes, but in cycles. So somebody from the West would just look at this cycle. Why not make it straight? Because a European goes linear in their thinking. For us, we go forward, yes, but in cycles. Very different ways of reckoning time altogether. This is why, for us as Africans, when you are talking to a European will sound more straight. As an African, I will sound a little bit more like I'm going in circles, but going forward, as it were. So those are the two different ways that we can say are the differences between the Africans and the Europeans. It is in the way we look at time. It is in the way we look at our culture. For us, it is important to go through the cycles 1, 2, 3, 4, as it were, up to 7, and start the cycle again. In Africa, I also noticed that in Africa, we believe in a partial reincarnation. A partial reincarnation. Why do I say that? Because for our African scenario, when you have a child, or you have a grandchild, especially a grandchild who resembles the grandpa exactly, or the grandmother, the thinking we have is that, oh, the granny has come back. That's what I'm trying to say. It is a form of a partial reincarnation. Sometimes the same names would be given to the child of the grandparents or great-grandparents, because of the idea that people finish the cycles and then they resume again, they come back. Let me conclude with this. Cultural imaginaries of different people groups should be understood by all people. They should be understood by business people, educators, missionaries, whatever group you are. Even if you're a business person, you've got to understand that, because you're going to offend people if you don't. So these cultural imaginaries should be understood, because they form the basis of intellectual and moral development. Any people would be frustrated and feel disrespected if their cultural imaginary is misunderstood and disregarded, because culture is what people are. not necessarily or not only, just what they do. Thank you very much. And there ends my presentation.
Hello. Thank you, Dr.
Yes.
Andriano Chalve. It was a real pleasure to listen to you. A very different
Yes.
perspective, I should say. From India, when we look at Africa, it is so very different, the thinking. Now
Yes.
we understand from the horse mouth why it is so different, and we understand really how different the Europeans would have felt. It's really very amazing actually to listen to you regarding the mindset of the Africans and their belief system. It is really wonderful. It's really a wonderful way. It is an eye opener for us, especially. It was really an eye opener for us how people
Yes. The
think
differences
so very
between the Africans and the Europeans.
Yes, that's true. Very, very true. There is so much of difference between here in India and as well as in Africa,
Yes.
actually, where
Yes.
we also believe in cycle of birth. You know, where we also believe here in this land in cycle of births, where people believe to be born again and again. We say 7 births. Yes.
Yes.
Hello, uh, Dr. Salve.
Yes.
Dr. Salve. Okay. Now,
Hello.
Dr. Salve, do you hear me? Dr. Salve?
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to know how
Can hear
you have been
Although you
able
are
to
breaking in. Yes.
how you have been able to reconcile. See, your thought. You have been in Africa, born and
Trying
brought
to
up
find it.
in Africa, and you have been also in the West for your studies, and you
Yes.
have even worked there. And you would have seen a difference in the belief systems, in the perspectives. How do you reconcile between these two? How have you managed?
Yes. How we consider it.
Hello? Dr. Salve, do you hear? Dr. Salve?
Ramakrishnan.
Okay, let's try.
அவர்தான் அதுக்கு மாடரேட்டர் அவர்தான் மாடரேட்டர்
Doctor?
Hello.
Dr. Andriano?
You're trying to reconcile the two mindsets. Hello.
How do you? Yes. Sorry, voice was breaking, doctor. Could you come again? Could you come again? How do you reconcile
Yes.
your belief with that of the Europeans? And how about your personal experience
Yes.
of reconciling to these two different mindsets?
Out here. Out here. Zipping. Network is bad. Hello.
Hello?
Please.
Hello? Yes.
Hello.
Yes, doctor, we can hear you.
Yes.
Doctor? Doctor,
Yes.
can you hear? Doctor, can you hear? Doctor, can you hear?
Yes.
Okay, doctor, there is a question from Dr. Ravi Bhushan. Hello, doctor. There is a question from Dr. Ravi Bhushan. Family,
Yes,
place of
please.
worship, family, place of worship,
Yes,
and
please.
mythology are the defining markers of any culture. How do you place these markers in current times of African society? Doctor, can you hear? Doctor, Reverend, do you hear? Reverend, do you hear?
I'm just being, we are breaking. Can
Yeah.
repeat?
Yes.
I
Now
hear you
again, I
now.
repeat the question. Family, place of worship, and mythology are the defining
Yes.
markers of any culture. How do you place these markers in current times of African society? From Dr. Ravi Bhushan.
African,
Yes.
Satan, outdoors,
Doctor, if you are getting, your voice is breaking. One of the participants, yeah, please keep speaking.
Yes. The difference between Africans and Europeans.
Yeah.
Was that question? Was that question? The difference between African and European in terms of mindset.
Okay.
Hello.
Doctor, Reverend, your voice is breaking. We are not able to listen to you.
Hello.
Doctor?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, doctor.
Hello.
Doctor?
Yes, please.
Doctor,
Hello.
there is another
Hello.
Doctor, there is another question.
Hello.
Culture is, Doctor, culture
Hello.
is very broad. Culture is a very broad term,
Hello.
yet it is fading in the dark clouds. What are the reasons? Please share your views.
The what?
Culture is a very broad term, yet it is fading in the dark clouds. What are the reasons?
Hello.
Please share your views. Doctor?
For the reason?
Culture is a very broad term, yet it is fading in the
This is
dark
the reason.
clouds.
What is the reason, Carl? Hello.
Okay,
Hello.
okay, doctor. Doctor, your talk
Are you
was
there?
very, very enlightening. As many participants have come and said that the talk was very,
Hello.
very, very beautiful and very informative. And also, as you were talking, actually, we were going through our own culture, our own customs. We were going through some of the superstitions that we have here and some of the belief in the life that we have here, like a sort of, 7 cycles of life that we talk of here in India. And when you were talking about, many children, we were thinking in another way. Here in the beginning, few decades back, people were having many children, especially, at that time, the mortality rate was very high. So they wanted to have more children. And also here it is basically, it is an agricultural, agrarian society. Therefore, they needed more children to work in the agricultural fields. So they had more children. But it was a very different thinking, that you said about, living longer. More children means to live longer. It's a very different and new perspective, Dr. Andriano. Besides, you also talked about, the time, the concept of time, especially the linear and the circle circular way of understanding. For the Europeans, it is actually that is the linear, and for the Africans, it is something circular. It's a very, very different and very eye-opening new perspectives that you have given us. Okay, so you have opened us to understand the African mindset. So you are no more distant people and with a sort of strangers. You are no more strangers, but we feel that you are so very close. One of the participants from Nagaland had simply said that, oh, these people are very close to us Nagas. So everybody listening to you, we got the same feeling. After all, people have the same thing, but with very different perspectives. Very, very enlightening session, Dr. Andriano. Very kind of you, though we have gone through a lot of glitch. Uh, okay, but still listening to you has actually made up for all the pitfalls that we have had today technically. Thank you so much, and it was a real pleasure listening to you, Dr. Andriano Chalve. I'm sure we will have more opportunity to listen to you in the days to come. And thank you so much for joining. It was a real pleasure having you. And my dear participants, it was a pleasure having you on board. Sorry, please bear with us for the technical problems. Though we have gone through, tested, certain things are not in our hands. So please bear with us. Okay, so we are here ready to help and come in. Please bear with us. And just a word about the feedback form. It is right now, it will be shared with you. Already it has been shared with you. Please go ahead. So the feedbacks will be also considered for your attendance. Okay, so it will be available for everyone, those who participated. Of course, we will compare and then refer to your registration, no doubt about that. So thank you once again, Dr. Andriano Chalve and all the participants. It was a very pleasurable talk, I should say. Though we waited, but still it was worth the waiting. So thank you so much, one and all. Okay, and we want to remind you that tomorrow is the second day, and we will be starting again at 9:45. We will be already at it, and currently now the paper presentation sessions are going on in parallel sessions. Okay, you can enter any room. The links are given there for you. You can go ahead and you can participate in any of the parallel sessions. So there are totally 6 parallel sessions taking place, both literature and language. So you're welcome to participate in any one of them. Okay, thank you so very much.
Father, hello?
Sir, yes, sir. Go
Yes,
ahead, sir.
yes. I like to make an announcement on behalf of the conveners. Already the paper presentation has started. I request the participants also to join the paper presentation and share their views with the paper presenters. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll meet you again tomorrow on Zoom and YouTube Live from the organizers. And now we go for paper presentation and join any one of the parallel sessions.
So shall we close this Zoom session, sir? Father? He's online and his video is also on.
He came actually, he called me on.
Hello. Hello.
Sir, sir. Yes, sir. Do you want to speak to Father, sir?
Father, I think
Just
many of them have left.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Since the session was over, many of them went. Either they can join the paper presentation.
Sure.
Yeah, only 60 participants are in the meeting, sir.
Very good. It went on well. It was a good session,
Yes,
but
sir.
for the glitch that we had, he had.
Yes, yes, sir.
Otherwise,
Maybe
it
he's
was-
having some network problem there, sir.
Surely. We should
Even you
understand
can,
that.
yeah,
But
find it in the video. He's
that
coming
half-
out, going in,
yeah,
struggling
that
a lot.
half an hour he spoke, he really